Speaking of hope, moving from despair to hope, maybe this particular session may have been better called Simply Hope. We have two young women who have an amazing resume. Margaret, are you just going into being a senior? So she's still a junior. And when I read what she's accomplished, it's like, wow. And Leah is sophomore? Sophomore. And whoa, and when you hear this, it's like, I'd be proud to have this resume. So it's something. So Margaret is going to speak first. And she is a senior at the Sharon Academy, which I have visited, and it is an amazing school that between the space of adult and education and child is just filled with care and love, and that is their motivation and how they teach. So we'll see some of Sharon Academy in Margaret. So that. And her senior project will be focused on the climate changes on Vermont's biodiversity, which she will promise to keep up on the web page of this conference. Wow, isn't she quick? She had no idea I was going to say that. That's good. See what I mean? Wouldn't that be great if she did her project on our web page about Vermont's biodiversity with climate change? Beautiful. Thank you. Her junior exhibition title was called Nature, the Best Fuel for a Child's Soul, describing the health benefits of outdoor play, adults take notice, and experiences for children. Now, this is one idea that caught me. Margaret's other school research papers. And I thought back, when I was a junior in high school, I would have had to look up what a research paper is. And her other research papers and presentations included, and help me if I don't get this right, Wangari Maathai, Rachel Carson, and oil drilling in the rainforests of Ecuador. I was wrestling and playing football when I was a junior in high school. No clue. Now, here's another. Margaret was selected to join Inconvenient Youth. How can you just let that go? Inconvenient Youth. I was an inconvenient youth. So I didn't have to join anything. So Margaret had to join Inconvenient Youth. A youth project of Vice President Al Gore's Climate Reality Project to give public presentations about climate change. Welcome. Margaret hopes to inspire others to be the change they wish to see in the world. We don't watch protesters and wish they do well. We become the protesters and we do well. And help preserve the planet for the current and future generations. I give you Margaret Gish.
All right, can you guys all hear me? Is that good? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Every year of my life has been one of the hottest years on record, and there is nothing I can do about that. It doesn't matter if I do everything I'm supposed to do, study as hard as I can, recycle, turn out the lights, take shorter showers, or write to my representatives. I have simply inherited a warmer world. I have seen this evidence. Right now, my family has an exchange student from Kenya whose home is on the shores of Lake Victoria in Kenya, and he says that the lake is drying up and that rain has not fallen for months there. So what are we doing? I also witnessed Hurricane Irene, and I will never forget walking with my family down to the nearby brook during the storm and hearing the boulders tumble like thunder rolling downstream, striking whatever was in their path. Irene did not affect my home, but for the next week I saw devastation like no other as I helped families in my town clean up their homes. Basements full of muck, a smell I will never forget. I saw people reluctant to pull soggy, wet carpet out of their homes. They wanted to stay. They didn't want to face reality. Climate change is ever bleak, but I have hope, and I always will. I am willing, more than willing, to help solve the problem of climate change. Well, maybe solve is too drastic of a word, since at the rate things are going and progressing now, we simply need to get ourselves on our way to a more sustainable world so that the next generation even has a chance of happiness. So why am I so optimistic? The honest truth is that young children give me hope. Their spontaneous energy makes me appreciate life and that I'm alive. Being alive in of itself is a gift, so why not celebrate that? Why not share in the joy of a child? Why not be curious? Why not run outside chasing a butterfly in bare feet? This summer, I worked in the town of Sharon at the One Planet Summer program. I spent hours with children outside. I tried my best to leave an impression on them that being outside and appreciating the outdoors will lead to the best happiness ever. I think I got through to some of them, but the main point is that if you are with a child, take them outside. Let them explore so they don't fall victim to the age of electronics. I am a senior in high school, and in my future, I want to study environmental science and elementary education. I want to continue helping children appreciate and save this wonderful world. So how did I begin to care? 5 years ago, my family and I moved from Missouri. In Missouri, we were the only family in our neighborhood who had a backyard vegetable garden, had a compost bin, and drove hybrid vehicles. When my brother and I asked our neighbors where carrots come from, they said the supermarket. They had no clue that carrots come from the ground. That is when I first realized how lucky I was to have a garden and be connected with my food sources. I also realized how disconnected everyone else was from what they eat. This confused me. While I lived in Missouri, my mother became a trained climate reality project presenter with Al Gore's organization and began giving presentations about climate change. She even tried to show inconvenient truth at our church, but out of a congregation of 1,500 people, 3 people came. Only 3. After I saw an inconvenient truth, I became more aware and joined the fight with my mother and became a trained presenter a few years later. I was trained in Nashville, and I was amazed to be standing in a building that was flooded with a so-called 500-year flood just weeks before the training occurred. Another blatant piece of evidence. Since my training in 2010, I have given a few presentations with my mother, and I have also organized an I Matter march. I Matter is a campaign that was started by another youth named Alec Lors that works to inform children and teens that they matter and that they have a right to a healthy planet and a bright future. I held the I Matter march in South Royalton, Vermont, and the turnout was small. But I was inspired by the people who were there because they deeply cared about climate change, as I do, and they gave me the energy to continue fighting. Many of my recent school projects have also focused on climate change, and I have learned a lot and gained more energy for this fight by doing them. A project I did 2 years ago focused on the oil industry in Ecuador and how it is harming the unique rainforest there, leaving a trail of sludge and extreme rainforest destruction. Why are we killing beautiful treasures? What justification is there to do so? There is no justification to do so in my mind, but apparently some people don't understand that, which is why education is a great tool to inform every one of the world problems. Just today, I learned 2 things about Ecuador. For the first time in 35 years, a new carnivore species has been found in the Andean cloud forests of Ecuador and Colombia. This raccoon-sized mammal is called the olonguito and leaps through the treetops at night. But sadly, this newly discovered creature is threatened. Ecuador's President Correa has just announced that he has abandoned a plan to have wealthy countries pay Ecuador not to drill oil in the rainforest, a program established with the UN, but that did not receive the requested financial support. President Correa has permitted more drilling in the Yasuni Province Preserve in the rainforest, one of the most biodiverse areas on Earth. This is tragic. When I was a junior in high school, I did a presentation and paper titled, "Nature, the Best Fuel for a Child's Soul." I discussed the fact that many children today are losing touch with nature, not realizing that nature is the most important motivator for them. I found out that children involved and connected with nature are stronger students, have more confidence, have a lower prevalence of ADHD, and have higher levels of vitamin D. The list goes on. It's really, really incredible. But the main point is that children need to spend time outside from a young age, and that it will help them teach others the beauty and wonder of our Earth. This past semester of school, I had the opportunity to be an exchange student in Ecuador for 5 months. I had an amazing time, and I loved learning the Spanish language. However, several things amazed me about my experience. It was normal for people to throw trash out of the windows of their cars. I lived in the city of Riobamba in the mountains, about 9,000 feet up, and the trash littered all the city streets. The first time one of my host family members threw trash out the window, I said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" And afterwards, I explained to them, I said that it's important to throw trash in the trash can so that you protect animals and nature and all of God's creation. And I think I got through to them a little, because when we went on later trips in the car, they would give me all the trash, and then I would just throw it away afterwards. Another thing that amazingly did not exist in Ecuador was recycling. The only time I saw any kind of recycling was 2 days when we had plastic bottle recycling at school. The rest of the potential recycling went to waste. Why? What are we doing? Ecuador is a beautiful country that includes the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest, and the Galapagos Islands. I had a chance to visit most of those locations, and I have no clue why we wouldn't want to save them. I had an Ecuadorian tour guide on my boat trip through the Galapagos Islands, and I asked him how the islands are being affected by climate change, and he said climate change is affecting everything. It is affecting animal population, ocean temperature, and the length of the wet and dry seasons. I would go back to the Galapagos any chance I get to witness the unique beauty. The beauty of the iguanas, penguins, seals, sea lions, turtles, blue-footed boobies, and all the other animals on the island is second to none. I was lucky enough to see the only of 30 species of cormorants that can't fly. I want us to conserve places like Vermont and the Galapagos Islands, and I need everyone's help to do that. This summer, during my job with the summer day camp, the One Planet program, I also had the chance to give a presentation about my Ecuador trip to the children. This was by far my favorite day, and my favorite of the 3 children's groups that I worked with and got to talk to were the youngest children between the ages of 6 and 8. Those kids listened and looked at the pictures of the animals from the Galapagos Islands with complete fascination. They asked question after question, and we got to talking about why oil drilling in Ecuador is harming the rainforest, and I asked the children if they wanted that to happen. And they unanimously said no, and continue to explain that they felt protecting the earth was important. I was overjoyed to hear that. I only hope that we continue to pass that message on to children now and in the future. At the same time, though, I was thinking, if children understand the importance of conserving the earth, why don't adults who are in charge of the big corporations right now? Don't they see that their coal-fired power plant is causing cancer and respiratory problems in nearby residents, or what have you? This year, for my senior project, I am going to research climate change effects in Vermont and what is going to happen to this state in a few years due to climate change. I am excited for this project and more than hopeful that it will teach me another way I can help create a better future. My parents have taken me outside since I was little, and I give them a lot of credit for my love of nature and my appreciation of it. I live, fight, and continue to hope for peace because I see in nature a beauty incomparable to anything. After all, it's God's creation, and He commanded that we take care of the earth. He also challenged us to love our neighbors as ourselves, which is something we have failed greatly at in recent years. Seeing oceans rise and flood island nations and not doing something to stop the problem is not kind to our neighbors. We could at least try to reduce our emissions so that others in third world countries who are more or less aren't causing climate change might have a better chance of survival. So I ask all of you to close your eyes for a minute and imagine your favorite place on earth. Whether that be your backyard, a mountaintop, or a beach, it doesn't matter to me. Simply picture that place in your mind and imagine taking a child's hand and showing them that place. What would your first words be to them? How would you explain the importance of nature and inform them that we are destroying it at the same time? Continue with this child. Walk, explore. Let them imagine and share it with you. But at the end of your moment with the child, ask them what they learned. Ask them if they care about the earth, and hope the answer is yes. Open your eyes and look to the children in this room with grace. Thank them with your eyes. Thank them for accepting the challenge of fighting climate change. Tell them sorry and pat yourselves on the back for the work you have done to make our future that much brighter. All of us are connected to the earth. It sustains us, and without the earth we die, and the children die with us. One person I greatly admire is Gandhi, and there is one thing he said which drives me forward. He urges us to be the change you wish to see in the world. I am driven by this statement because I want to be able to look children in the eye who are younger than I and tell them that they do have a chance, that their life is not doomed. I want to leave you all with one last image that encompasses the beauty and connection between all living things in nature. Night had fallen. I was on the deck of the boat with 16 others floating through the paradise of the Galapagos Islands. The night was breezy, and all of us sat talking about anything and everything. One of the last things we did was lie on our stomachs and watch the stars. I learned from our park guide about constellations in South America and saw the Southern Cross for the first time. I lay there, entranced at the sky, thinking that humans have made such an impact, and yet we are so small, just one little dot in millions. And then I realized that that exact thought is our destruction and our revival, because if we can do so little and make so much change for the worse, we can all do the same for the better. That is my challenge to all of you. Thank you.